This is One-on-One. The expert is in the house. He is Dr. Lee Baer, author of Getting Control, Overcoming Your Obsessions and Compulsions, and all kinds of other credentials you're about to see when we chyron him in just a second. Good to see you, Doctor.
Good to see you, Steve.
6 million Americans suffer from OCD, which stands for?
Obsessive compulsive disorder.
All right. Now, I told you I have weird things, like I always have to write in a black felt pen, right? In my work to-do book. When I play golf, they have to be with Nike golf balls, or I just don't want to play golf anymore.
Right.
Or I think I'll hit a bad shot, and I like to write, everything has to be an even number, or bad things will happen. I'm not Howard Hughes, but I'm close. So, at what point do I have a real problem? Because one of the people you're writing about in the book went to wash his hands when he was out on a date, and he went to the bathroom for 7 hours, and when he came back, the date was gone. I'm not there, but what's OCD?
Well, as you point out, we all have elements of OCD. We all have some issues with contamination. We don't like to eat with a fork that's dropped on the floor.
Right.
We don't like to get married on Friday the 13th. We all have lucky things we do and don't do. But when the obsessions or compulsions take over an hour a day or cause significant interference with a person's life, then we call it OCD. So just to be clear, the obsessions are thoughts, distressing thoughts that come into a person's mind. It could be, I'm infected, maybe I shoplifted something, maybe I hit somebody with a car, maybe I had bad sexual thoughts, maybe I'm going to hell. And the compulsions are rituals they do to make themselves feel better: hand washing, checking, asking for reassurance.
Okay, but if it passes, you have the bad sexual thought, and okay, I've had a bad sexual thought, but it comes in your head and it goes.
Absolutely.
And I don't have to wash my hands after.
Absolutely.
But I had the bad sexual thought. It just didn't stay there for a real long time.
Absolutely.
I'm okay.
You're absolutely okay. Almost 100% of people, or 90% of people, 100% of everybody who's honest, have those kind of thoughts.
When do we know, hey, I have to see a professional about this?
Well, if you ask a family with somebody with OCD, they'll tell you it's pretty easy to see. When a kid can't get up in the morning because they've been up all night praying because it didn't feel right, and they're afraid something will happen to their parents because of that, or they're stuck in the bathroom for hours washing their hands, or a person can't drive because they circle back to check, see if they hit somebody, it's pretty obvious. Sometimes it can take 8, 10, 12 hours a day. On the other hand, some people are very good at hiding it from their spouse for years.
How do you hide it?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Howard Hughes, one of the most obvious cases. I don't want to spend too much time on him. Could he have been helped? I know it was a different time. If someone had interceded earlier on, could he have been helped?
He probably could have been helped with cognitive behavior therapy, the non-drug technique I talk about in the book, and also medications. He's actually a very interesting case because he's one of the very rare cases that was probably caused by physical injury. He had several head injuries because of plane crashes.
Right.
Very tiny proportion of OCD cases are caused by infection or head injuries, but the vast majority seem to have a genetic component and then made worse by stress.
You believe it, in many cases, in most, it can be cured?
In the vast majority of cases, we can get the OCD to a point where it doesn't interfere with the person's life.
Let's break it down how,
it.
because a lot of people watching right now are dealing with it.
Absolutely. So the cognitive behavior therapy approach, first of all, we help the person.
What does that mean?
So cognitive means that we help the person to think better about it. So for example, teaching them that everybody has bad thoughts at times, teaching them that their feelings can lie to them, teaching them that even though we'd like things to be perfect, or we could be certain that there's no harm that come to us, that doesn't happen. That often helps a lot. And then helping them learn new habits. So if they avoid wearing clothes, for example, say if I avoided wearing this jacket because I wore it passing a funeral last time, to first of all teach the person to realize that there's no funeral germs that get onto the coat, even though it can feel that way, and then have them wear the jackets they've been avoiding. And at first they feel really upset and anxious, but as time goes on, they feel more and more comfortable. People can become housebound because of OCD.
Housebound?
Housebound.
This is not is this hoarding as well? Or is that a different?
Well, there's many different kinds of OCD symptoms. Hoarding is one that people have heard a lot about because of the TV shows, and it's
because I know some people who are dealing with, not dealing with it, but they have it and they're not dealing with it.
Yeah.
And I want to help, and I have no idea how.
Yeah, hoarding can be really tough because generally the person who's doing the hoarding isn't bothered by it.
Are they okay? Real, I don't want to assume people know what we're talking about. I know someone very close to me who has stuff in her house. She piles it up, and it's not just a messy house. I've got to believe she's holding on to something.
Yep. Yeah. There's different reasons people hold on to it. For some, even things that don't seem like they should have sentimental value to them. Other people feel like they might need those things one day, so they hold on to it. And again, there's a line between normal behaviors, collecting behaviors, saving things that
10 feet up to
might
the
have
wall.
value. Yeah, when people die in fires because they can't escape when doorways are blocked. Families have to get involved in those cases because, first of all, the person loses perspective on what's normal. And secondly, it's usually the landlord and the family that's more bothered by it. The person who hoards usually isn't that bothered. So the family has to try and get them motivated and help them to clean these things up. But they can't do it for them. They have to do it with them.
You see these patients all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It can be heartbreaking.
You see progress.
Absolutely.
But you just, I'm sorry I interrupted you, it is heartbreaking to you.
Yeah, well, it's heartbreaking to see the distress that people are in who could be helped. And even after 20 years of treating this, there's still people who don't know that there's help. We still get calls every day from people across the country, around the world, who think that they're crazy and don't know that it's a treatable disorder. Plus just telling the people that doctors, lawyers, judges, we see everybody, broadcasters.
Howard Stern talked about it publicly.
Absolutely. Psychologists, Howie Mandel, actors have talked about it.
Hand-washing germ thing.
Ball players have talked about it. So everybody can get OCD. And it's just a magnification of normal behaviors.
Doctor, is that the message of the book?
Absolutely. The message of the book is that it can be treated. First, you have to identify it. Families can be involved. And people can get better.
They can.
They absolutely can.
But they have to acknowledge you cannot act like it's not happening.
Absolutely. They have to work hard. Families have to help by not helping. A lot of times families will think that they're helping. One father was so afraid of contamination, he would force the family to come in through the garage, take off all their clothes, change into perfectly clean clothes before they come into the house. So no children were allowed to have friends in the house because of that. So it's very difficult. And the family has to try and not help without creating conflict. So that's where the therapist has to come in and try and reduce that conflict.
Sometimes helping by not helping.
Absolutely.
The name of the book is Getting Control, Overcoming Your Obsessions and Compulsions. The author is Dr. Lee Baer. It is an important book and a serious man dealing with a very serious issue. Doctor, thank you for coming all the way down here from Boston to our home in New Jersey. Thank you.
It's a pleasure, Steve.
Appreciate it. Stay tuned. One-on-One will continue right after this. Thank you, Doctor.
Sure.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the New Jersey Education Association, working for great public schools for every child, and by Wells Fargo. Promotional support provided by NJ Biz, All Business, All New Jersey, and by the New Jersey Business and Industry Association and its monthly magazine, New Jersey Business. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System.